Chapter 22, page 429, Safety and Risk Management for Central Service. Learning objectives. As a result of successfully completing this chapter, readers will be able to 1. Explain the importance of safety and risk management in the Central Service Department. 2. Review 3 common workplace hazards: fire, hazardous substances, and bloodborne pathogens. 3. Explain the importance of ergonomics and health awareness for Central Service technicians. 4. Discuss common safety hazards applicable to Central Service functions and work areas, and explain how employee injuries can be prevented. 5. Describe special safety precautions for handling ethylene oxide. 6. Discuss the basics of internal and external disaster plans for a healthcare facility. 7. Review procedures to report employee accidents and injuries. And 8. Explain the importance of education and reporting in a central source safety and risk management system. Introduction. It has been said that safety is no accident, and that statement couldn't be more true, especially for healthcare professionals who are responsible for keeping patients, employees, and visitors free from injury. Safety requires ongoing education, safeguards, proper planning, and the combined implementation of safety systems to reduce risks, prevent injury, and save lives. The Central Service CS decontamination area is a perfect example of how safety systems and due diligence is essential for ensuring safety. This area operates in the presence of pathogenic microorganisms and presents a real risk to those who enter. Engineering controls such as managed air pressure, physical separation in clean areas, and personal protective equipment (PPE) are provided to minimize risk. Employees are educated in biohazard safety and must follow specific regulations such as those established by Occupational Safety and Health Administration (OSHA) to reduce the risk of injury. See Figure 22.1. This chapter will identify common risks found in the CS work areas and discuss ways to minimize the risk of injury. Risk management. Risk management is a method used to assess the risks of specific activity and develop programs to reduce that risk. It also involves injury, prevention and claims management, the settlement, defense, and prevention of lawsuits. Risk management originated in the insurance industry as the result of the increased number of medical malpractice lawsuits. These lawsuits cost healthcare facilities billions of dollars over the past several years. Healthcare facilities must effectively manage injury prevention for patients and employees as a part of a risk management program. Various authorities, including the Joint Commission, TJC, require that healthcare facilities develop and implement procedures to ensure that they meet safety standards. Risk management programs are designed to prevent accidents and/or injuries and ensure accurate reporting and follow-up to help prevent similar incidents. After a situation is examined and hazards or unsafe practices have been discovered, risk management personnel ensure that corrective actions are taken to improve systems, behaviors, and/or physical conditions to help prevent employee and patient accidents and injuries. By following the protocols outlined in this textbook, as well as the manufacturer's instructions for use, IFU, standards and regulations, and CS technicians support patient safety. Risk management defined. Risk management, the methods used to assess the risks of a specific activity and develop a program to reduce losses from exposure to those risks. Common workplace safety hazards. All jobs involve some risks. The key to working safely in any work environment is to understand those risks and take appropriate steps to minimize them. CS technicians must understand potential hazards and pay close attention in work areas within and sometimes outside of their department. The belief that an accident or injury will never happen to me creates a false sense of security that results in many injuries each year. Following safety protocols and incorporating them into all work practices is necessary for preventing injuries and accidents. Central Service Occupational Hazards. In CS, there are 3 different types of occupational hazards: physical, biological, and chemical hazards. See Figure 22.2. Some of those occupational hazards can be present in all areas of the department. For example, physical hazards such as a heavy or awkward lifting can occur in any work area. Other hazards may be confined to a specific work area. For example, biohazard contamination will most likely occur in the decontamination area. Physical safety hazards may be caused by the environment and the task performed within that environment. Due to the nature of the task performed, there are many potential physical hazards in the CS department. Physical hazards may include wet floors, cluttered walkways, heavy carts, and sharp instruments. Fire is also a physical safety concern. Biological safety hazards, infectious waste, and bloodborne pathogens can potentially be found in any area of the department. Obviously, the decontamination area is the main area of concern for biological hazards. Chemical safety hazards may be found throughout the work area. For example, solutions used in the decontamination area, sterilants used in the sterilization area, and some patient care products may pose chemical hazards within the department. The following sections examine general safety hazards and then outline specific safety hazards by work area. The risk of injury from all of these hazards can be minimized by following safety protocols. General physical hazards. Ergonomic concerns. General physical hazards include those related to ergonomics, slips, falls, electrical, safety, and sharps. Ergonomics is the process of changing work or working conditions to reduce physical stress. CS technicians are exposed to many ergonomic stress factors, such as repetitive motion, lifting, and pushing. Ergonomic stressors that employees may encounter include force, heavy lifting or manipulating equipment or instrument sets, repetition, using the same motion or series of motions continually and frequently, awkward positions, assuming positions that place stress on the body, such as reaching or twisting while lifting, vibration, rapid oscillation of the body or a body part, contact stress, continuous pressure between the body and a sharp edge. Exposure to these stressors can cause numerous problems, including ligament sprains, joint and tendon inflammation, pinched nerves, herniated spinal discs, and other injuries. Page 432. Problems such as carpal tunnel syndrome from typing at a computer station may develop gradually over time, or from a single event, such as from improperly lifting a heavy object. In either case, the injuries may cause pain, loss of work, and disability. The number and severity of ergonomic injuries can be reduced if the work environment and work practices are effectively adjusted. To be effective, management, commitment, and employee participation are required. This forms the foundation of ergonomic improvements because a sustained effort, allocation of resources, and frequent follow-up is needed. Staff member buy-in of equipment and work procedures changes if is of special importance. Training can help employees too. Recognize the signs and symptoms of injuries so they can respond to them. Report potential problems. Recognize job tasks that have ergonomic stressors. Definition: ergonomics. Ergonomics is the process of changing work or changing working conditions to reduce employee stress. Conducting a worksite analysis can help identify conditions and aspects of work activities that increase injury risks to employees. It will also help ensure that corrective actions taken will address the problems creating the hazard. Note: Figure 22.3 and 22.4 show overhead lift systems, transport carts, and adjustable height work tables that can be used to reduce the risk of back injuries. Simple changes such as stretching before work, shifting position, learning and practicing good body mechanics, and breaking up repetitive activities can help employees reduce the risks of ergonomic injuries. Figure 22.5 shows a technician practicing good body mechanics while lifting a tray. Proper lifting and pushing movements can also prevent injuries. When loading and unloading carts from dumbwaiters or elevators, or receiving a cart into the department, it is essential to check the weight of the cart before attempting to move it. Figure 22.6 provides an example of a heavy lifting cart that must be handled carefully. Ensuring that the wheels are straight and that they will roll over door spaces or uneven edges is also important, as is unloading some items to lighten the cart if it is too heavy or heavy to move easily. Slip and fall concerns. Slips and falls are always a concern in the CS department. Mobile equipment and ever-present wet floors increase fall risks. To reduce these risks, mobile equipment should be parked away from common traffic areas. Areas that are often have wet floors, such as in the decontamination area, around the car wash exits and washers unload areas, must be kept dry as possible, and spills should be wiped down immediately. Non-slip footwear should be worn and attention should be given to slippery floors. Signage such as the wet floor sign pictured in figure 22.7 below alerts people to the potential hazards. Electrical safety concerns. Burns and shocks from electrical equipment can result if safe handling precautions are not observed. Carefully check all electrical cords to ensure they are intact, with no breaks in the insulation. Electrical cords on mobile equipment run a greater risk of being kinked or run over by rolling carts, which can then make the equipment unsafe. All plugs on electrical equipment must be 3-pronged and grounded, and all electrical outlets must accommodate these plugs. Inspecting electrical cords for breaks and plugs for bent prongs is the responsibility of CS technicians. See figure 22.8. Identifying and reporting a potential hazard during cleaning or delivery can prevent injuries to patient and staff. Use caution with electrical equipment. All electrical equipment can pose a hazard if it is used in an unsafe manner. For example, radios placed near water sources, such as sinks and ultrasonic cleaners, can lead to staff injury in the work area. Keep the work area safe from electrical hazards. Sharps concerns. Cuts and puncture injuries from sharps can happen in any work area of the CS department. Sharp instruments can break the skin surface and produce puncture wounds, lacerations, and abrasions. If the injury occurs in the decontamination area, these injuries can result in exposure to disease. Some general precautions to prevent sharp injuries include handling all sharps with care, not grasping several objects at the same time, ensuring that sharp end point away from any part of one's body during transport, and placing all disposable sharps, such as needles and blades, in the appropriate sharps container as seen below in figure 22.9. General chemical hazards. Although most chemicals used in CS are found in the decontamination area, chemical hazards may be found in other areas of the department as well. Splashing chemicals is a common cause of eye injuries, so the use of eye protection is required. Eye wash stations are required in areas where chemical injuries are a concern. See figure 22.10. Hazardous substance concerns. Each state categorizes certain chemicals and substances as hazardous. Each CS department should have an easily accessible, understandable, and current list of all hazardous substances with which employees could come in contact. Most facilities today have a comprehensive computerized hazardous chemical list. If employees are required to perform known hazardous tasks, it is important that they understand the safety procedures developed for that task. Prior to performing such tasks, employees must be given information about the hazards to which they will be exposed. This information should include identification of specific hazards, use of PPE, recommended safety measures, and emergency response procedures. Employers should take measures to minimize hazards of employees. These could include increased area ventilation, respirators, presence of other employees to assist, and the rehearsal of emergency procedures. CS managers must develop a hazardous materials management program to best ensure the health and safety of employees as required by state and federal regulations and the Joint Commission. Information about hazardous chemicals and substances must be available to all employees. OSHA's Employee Right to Know regulations mandate that a comprehensive hazard communication program be in place to help ensure that employees know about hazards around them. Components of an effective departmental hazardous substance management program include container labeling requirements, use of safety data sheets, SDS, employee information and training procedures to manage and handle hazardous substances, employee monitoring, and hazardous waste management. Definition: hazardous waste. Substances that cannot be disposed of in the facility's normal trash system. Container labeling. All containers that contain hazardous substances must be clearly labeled to specify contents and appropriate hazard warnings, and must indicate the name and address of the manufacturer. All secondary containers must be labeled with an extra copy of the original manufacturer's label or with a generic label that identifies hazard warning and directions. Definition: secondary container. Secondary container is a container that is a generic container that is filled with a primary container or filled with a diluted solution. Secondary containers must be clearly labeled with contact. Safety data sheets. An SDS safety data sheet, formerly called Material Safety Data Sheet or MSDS, contains important information about product materials and properties that employees must know to work safely with any given product. SDSs are developed and provided by the manufacturer of the product, and they are specific for each product. SDS contain at least the following information: product identification, which is product name, manufacturer's name, address and telephone number, product item number, which is the manufacturer's identification, and synonym names. They also contain updates. Also, list of hazardous ingredients. Physical data, vapor pressure, evaporation rate, solubility in water, freezing and boiling points, specific gravity, acidity or pH, vapor density, appearance, and odor. Also, fire and explosion information, which is flashpoint, flammable units, extinguishing media, special firefighting procedures, and unusual fire and explosion hazards. Reactivity data, stability, incompatibility, hazardous decomposition products, and conditions contributing to hazardous polymerization. Health hazard data, effects of overexposure, storage recommendations, incompatibility of materials and storage temperatures, emergency and first aid procedures, see figure 22.11, spill or leak procedures, spill management and waste disposal methods, protection information and control measures, and special precautions. Definition: polymerization, a molecular reaction that creates an uncontrolled release of energy. The employer is responsible to ensure that safety data sheets are readily available to employees who may work with or be in the vicinity of hazardous materials. See figure 22.12. In turn, employees are responsible for becoming familiar with safety data sheet information and consistently following the instructions given for the products they handle and use. Conclusion of Chapter 22, Part 1.